An Academy Books band. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, Maria and Trump.
All right.
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with our producer and engineer, the fantastic Mr. Zommers, on the board. It is 6 past the hour of 2 o'clock on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon, the 30th of April, 2025. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite, and it is
Hump Day.
There you go. The Camel has made it to midweek from the Civic Media World Headquarters in downtown Madison, Wisconsin on State Street. Overcast skies right now. Say maybe some weather coming in later tonight and tomorrow for parts of Wisconsin. Some rain. That's all right. We'll take some spring rain. And then get your suntan lotion out if you're on a Lake Wissota pontoon boat, because it's going to be a beautiful weekend. And then 70 degrees and sun all next week, laying out there and enjoying it in every afternoon, getting rid of his pasty white thighs, turning into a well-tanned man. The one, the only, the host of Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, Mr. Pat Kreitlow.
I don't think I've been pasty in my life.
Every Wisconsinite is pasty this time of year.
My wife jokes that this time of year, when the snow hasn't quite melted, I will open up the garage door to clean out the garage for the winter, and I will have a perfect tan by the end of the day. There's something
really
that
tan that quick?
I do. Yep.
The melanoma and Pat Kreitlow.
Nope. So far, so good. It's just I've
melanoma is skin cancer.
What's the stuff that
melanin?
That's it, melanin. We don't want anybody to have melanoma.
Where are we going with that? Like,
no.
I'm part George Hamilton. What can I say?
That made my day.
We're skewing old right off the top, folks.
I love it. Speaking of old, our old friend Trygve Olsen. Now, had promised us, now at the time change, you would join us today on Wednesdays again. But alas, he's a big-time guy. He has a meeting. He says, tell Pat I'll be there next Wednesday.
Yeah, whatever. Old man Trygve needs a nap. Whenever you want to come join the youngins again, you know the door is always open.
Well, it'll be good to get the band back together next Wednesday. So looking forward to that. But happy that Pat is here with us. You can hear him every morning now for 3 hours, 6 until 9, across the Civic Media Radio Network with Mornings with Pat Kreitlow. Coming up later on today in hour number 2, little what's worse for you, menus with QR codes or paperless tickets. We'll ask you that question hour 2. And Tim Grierson, senior U.S. film critic at Screen Daily, and also at the LA Times, will be joining us from Los Angeles, talking about Nicolas Cage films. And maybe we'll work out a little bit of what's coming up for summer blockbusters as well. But been a while since Tim has been on the show.
Nicolas Cage as Superman. Yes.
Do you have now? Are you a Nicolas Cage fan, Pat?
I wouldn't say fan, but I'm also not a detractor. I mean, I've seen some things.
Do you have a
where
favorite
he's funny.
film of his that you like?
No, I mean, not off the top of my head. I've definitely seen things I've liked him in.
Right.
I've also,
You
I
can take or leave him.
I have several off the top of my head that are favorites.
Yes.
Zommers, do it. Go.
Well, in Face Off, a hilarious over-the-top action movie in which Nicolas Cage and John Travolta switch faces, and hilarity ensues, is great. Pig, in which Nicolas Cage plays a guy who lives out in the middle of nowhere with a truffle hunting pig, and it's the love of his life, just hanging out with his pig and finding truffles. The pig gets kidnapped, and he has to go and get it back. It doesn't
Truffle hunting
Kidnapped.
pig.
Yes.
Is the pig named Babe by any chance?
I don't believe so, but
I love it.
It's like John Wick if instead of going and killing everybody who killed his dog, he was just like, come on, man, I just want my pig back.
Well, there you go. See, Zommers is set to go for this later on.
Look at the Nicolas Cage Film Festival ready to go here.
No, I was very impressed as we were talking about this morning. Zommers is set to go, so I appreciate that. So we'll talk about all of that. But right now, Pat, like every other day of this news cycle, always something going on. Thought maybe we would start with, and again, we don't play a lot of Fox News clips here, but Part of the reason I do it is because I know there's a certain segment of our audience and friends and neighbors across Wisconsin that are big Fox News viewers. That ain't my cup of tea. I find it more of an entertainment channel by and large. But I think it's important sometimes to play and say, look, even the Fox News folks are reporting this. It's so truthful, even they can't spin it. So here's how things started off on the old Fox News this morning with Maria Bartiromo giving to their audience tragic news.
Welcome back. We have breaking news right now. We're getting the GDP in for the first quarter, and it is a contraction, negative 0.3%. This is the first contraction since the first quarter of 2022. Markets this morning have reversed. The Dow Industrials right now down 115 points on this contraction of the GDP. First quarter GDP, first read. We've got more coming up in terms of advances, but the first read on the first quarter GDP is in fact a contraction, down 0.3% versus an estimate of up 0.3%. First contraction since first quarter 2022. Markets reversing, down at the lows of the day, down 139 right now on the Dow Industrials.
Not quite Walter Cronkite and moments ago, president. I mean, not quite that, but
Who was president when this whole turnaround started back then in 2022? Who was that? It was Sleepy Joe. Whose economy did he bring back to? Oh, it was Donald Trump's, wasn't it? Mark your calendars, kids. Mark your calendars for 90 days from today. Because 90 days from today, we will get the GDP report for this current quarter. And if I may read the definition of a recession,
please.
A period of economic decline during which the GDP falls in 2 successive quarters. Stay tuned 90 days from today for the Trump slump to officially become a recession. Am I cheering for it? No. Am I predicting it? Oh, yes. Yes. Here's this lovely recovery, best on the planet, that you've trashed and rooted for a recession, and you've made one happen. Congratulations.
Well, and this was fantastic because I saw this on Twitter this morning. Somebody posted these 2 tweets. This is from January 29th of this year. January 29th of this year. This is real. From Donald Trump's own True Social. Trump tweeted out, True Socialed out, quote, "This is the Trump stock market because my polls against Biden are so good that investors are projecting that I will win." And it goes on from there. So he says, quote, "This is the Trump stock market on January 29th of this year." Now, and this is real, from this morning, quote, "This is Biden's stock market,
Of
not
course it
Trump's.
Of
I
course
didn't
it
take
is.
over until January 20th. I mean,
Folks, I'm not kidding around, folks.
Right.
Aren't you tired of trying to find a way to defend this guy by now? I mean, I know it's only day 101, but aren't you exhausted at this point? Are you really going to do this for another 1,341 days? That's all I'm saying. And look, folks, I know I hear all the time, don't blame Trump voters, don't whatever. I'm just asking, are you tired of it yet? I'm just asking.
Yeah. This is a great quote, by the way. No, I did not say this. Somebody else made this up or pointed this out on Twitter yesterday regarding Trump's 100th day in office. Said, William Henry Harrison had a better first 100 days, and he spent 70 of them dead. I thought that was good.
Oh, it's
and again,
true.
I'm not wishing a bad economy for America.
No.
But again, just the hypocrisy when things are going well, suddenly he owns it. It's all him. He is the reason why. And within the same time period when things are going poorly, no, it ain't
this is
me.
the Biden economy. Again, Donald Trump inherited a good economy from Barack Obama and tanked it by his horrible response to COVID. Things were going to get bad anyway with COVID, yes, folks. But he managed to make things so much worse than they needed to be. And here he is again, making things so much worse than he needed to be. Again, not to say there isn't a role for trade negotiations. Not to say there isn't a role for playing hardball here and there, even with your allies at times. But to do it in such a bull in a china shop way is, as has been described many times, the most amazing self-inflicted economic damage in modern economic history.
you want to weigh in with Pat Kreitlow, give us a call, 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Let's go up to Appleton. Cindy listening in Appleton. Thanks for listening, Cindy. What do you want to say?
Well, Ron Johnson is having his Lincoln lunch this coming Saturday in Appleton. And I find it kind of ironic because wasn't Lincoln actually the person who basically started at DEI, which Ron Johnson is so against? Because, I mean, if you think about it, Lincoln was the starter of DEI. He was the Emancipation Proclamation and freed the slaves.
Well, thanks. I appreciate the call, Cindy. Pat.
And let's remember, though, the way that the parties have flipped. Yes, this was the party of Lincoln. I love when the people still say, it's the party of Lincoln. No. It used to be the party of Lincoln. And Democrats, that was the party of segregationists and racists. And again, things started to flip. And I will always, again, credit goes to Lyndon Johnson where due, but I always give ample credit to Hubert Humphrey for his 1948 speech at the Democratic Convention in Philadelphia, about getting out from under the shadow of states' rights and walking forthrightly into the bright sunshine of human rights. Yeah. And people said, hey, we could do this. The Dixiecrats, Strom Thurmond, they all left the Democratic Party. Nixon brings in the Southern Strategy. This is where we are today, which, by the way, is John Dean's birthday. And it's John Dean who has written several books about how he went from a Barry Goldwater, The Conscience of a Conservative, to one of his more recent books, Conservatives Have No Conscience. And he's not celebrating that. He's just, this is what has happened to his party.
855-752-4842. Let's go to Charles in Milwaukee, listening to WAUK. Charles, I got about a minute. What say you?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. So I was just thinking, I called my mom. I couldn't talk to her about it. But I'm wondering if Trump knew this news was coming out today about the growth of the economy not being great. And that's why he wanted to have this bogus cabinet meeting today where they all praise him.
Yeah, great point, Charles.
Yes.
Pat, do you see part of this? I'm not sure if it's still going on or now, but it's like North Korea.
It's North Korea. It's praising dear leader. Again, you mentioned Fox and Friends. We have there's a clip that was making the rounds over the weekend of them just fawning over his sports knowledge and everything else that's so wonderful about him. We actually played a Fox and Friends clip this morning of Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy and talking about how we need to keep air traffic controllers from retiring because there's such a shortage of them. Really? The most stressful job in the country? And You're so anti-immigrant that you're just telling people, well, make more babies and don't retire. That is not sustainable, but that's the kind of thing they're talking about over there.
855-752-4842. Let's go quickly to Middleton. Matt in Middleton on MDX. Matt, if you can make it brief, please go ahead.
Hey, guys. I just wanted to thank you again for Civic Media and then bring up the point that I hope once MAGA destroys America, when we rebuild, we can then implement universal health care because it is an economic issue and we'll never get our fiscal house in order until we fix that. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
True.
I don't know about you, Pat, but I mean, I'm not hoping that MAGA destroys America. I get
yes, it's a contingency and it's something that some people believe will happen. However it gets there, we need to get to solving this whole healthcare notion that, again, every other developed country in the world has figured out.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to come back. I was on Pat's show this morning, and he brought up a New York Times headline, which I had not seen yet. I want to get his take on the fallout from Donald Trump because the Trumpster has what do you say? Truth Socialed? It sounds weird to say that. But on his social media platform, he's already responding to this. On Pat's take on that and yours as well. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show for a Hump Day edition, April 30th, last day of April. You're on the Civic Media Radio Network.
We miss you, old man Trigney. Take your Metamucil.
Madison's real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX.
Hey, Gordy.
How you doing? Arthur, great. Great to see you. What are you doing in the studio?
Well, have you got that headline in front of you, Pat, yet? Because I don't have the headline.
Efforting.
I've got the, because I've got his, response here that he put up.
Oh, I understand plenty. You salespeople drink a lot of coffee. That's why the bathroom's right there.
Right, but I need to have you make a commercial about commercials.
Wait. A commercial about a commercial? I don't follow.
I want to tell potential business owners out there how to contact me to get a commercial on WMDX.
Okay, I get it. Okay, let's come up with something. Let's see. Business folks can contact you directly, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
what's the email, huh?
Okay, so it's sales@WMDXradio.com.
Oh, wait, run that by me again.
Sales@WMDXradio.com. So we could put all that together and get into a commercial, get on the air soon?
Arthur, my friend, I think we just did.
Advertise on WMDX Radio. Email Arthur, sales@WMDXradio.com.
Madison, get ready to sizzle. Come into Ko-Ril Hut Korean Barbecue and Hot Pot, Easttown Mall. Indulge in all-you-can-eat Korean barbecue with the freshest meats grilled right at your table. Wash it down with boba tea. Enjoy the pleasant atmosphere. Ko-Ril Korean Barbecue and Hot Pot.
No more mold, no more damage, no more slipping and hurting. Make your ordinary bathroom extraordinary for only $99 per month. New shower, new door, new tub, new wall, new anti-slip technology. BCI Bath and Shower is made in America for the highest quality. First 50 callers save $1,500 on a never clear glass treated door. BCI Bath and Shower. Interest-free financing options. 800-329-4115. 800-329-4115. 800-329-4115.
The Maggie Dawn Show.
Check out my war plans. Pete Hegseth talking about first big strike against the Houthis in Yemen on Signal. Two
Not to worry,
separate
Todd,
channels.
Pat,
Yes,
and
the one you
listeners,
heard
I am
about
putting
before
in
with
new
the
promos for all the
reporter on
shows
it.
today.
Oopsie-daisy. And now also his wife,
about
his
25
bro,
seconds.
and his lawyer who magically got hired by the Pentagon.
A guy who puts his own line on his pole, who ties his own fly fishing ties and digs his own worms in anticipation to the start of Wisconsin's fishing season over the weekend on Lake Wissota. Pat Kreitlow, you can hear him every morning from 6 until 9 now on Mornings with Pat Kreitlow. Always a pleasure to have him along.
Pat knows where the fish fries are. and sets
You don't do a lot of fishing off the dock there.
Sets a 20 on the bar and gets a fish fry in an old fashioned and gets change back because life is good up north. There you go.
That's a good way to put it. You're not a big fisher person then.
I am not. I've told the story a couple times on my show about, and again, I loved my father, God bless his soul, but he was not the most patient man. And both as going deer hunting and fishing as a preteen or a teen or something. In both cases, I was invited to go back to the truck and invited to go back to the dock because I was going to shock y'all. I couldn't keep my mouth shut, and apparently you need to be quiet while fishing or deer hunting.
All right, but you're a great boat captain because you
I
like
am.
to be
I
out
am.
on the water. You just don't put a line in.
I am extremely pro hunting, pro sportsman, pro all those things that
Right.
I did not really get the biggest opportunity in which to partake, but do support.
But,
Much like I just tell people, like, look, I'm a Packer fan. I never played football. I never played on the team. Still a fan. Go team. Go team fishing.
Unless it's ice fishing.
Right.
I know you're not a fan.
No, but nobody should be a fan of that. You can't possibly hate your wife that much. But anyway, I digress.
Are people are they getting excited? I mean, the big fishing season starts on this weekend.
Oh yeah, there's people that get very excited, and in fact, the governor's fishing opener is up this way, up in Rice Lake.
Oh really?
Yeah, I attended one governor's fishing opener as a state senator. It was actually on the river by was it Prescott or Pepin, and it was a wonderful time. I went out with a guide. And again, he did all here's the hook and it's the lines and everything. Here, Senator, hold on to this pole for about 8 seconds and I caught a fish. And I was like, this feels so wrong.
I was saying, the ultimate politician photo.
It was. I did. And there were, thank goodness, no photo. I would never have allowed that. And the next year, I believe, if not in Rice Lake, then in that area, the governor's fishing opener that year was canceled because there was still ice on all the lakes at that point. Yes. So I only attended one and said, I've seen politicians do this, and I am not going to engage in that kind of stuff.
Pat Kreitlow is a man of many talents amongst being a politician, a former politician, a longtime journalist and broadcaster. Pat, I was on your show this morning. It was a lot of fun. You brought up this headline at the New York Times regarding journalism, and I want you to read that. I'm going to read what Trump sent out, and then we're going to discuss it.
Yes, this was a news analysis piece by Peter Baker of the New York Times, of whom I'm not really a fan for his takes on Trump. Here's the headline and the subhead. After the arrests and bullets, Trump takes on second term with a new fervor. Subhead. Having escaped imprisonment and death, President Trump has returned to power seeking vindication and vengeance and done more in his first 100 days to change the trajectory of the country than any president since Franklin Roosevelt. What?
Now, that sounds like they're describing somebody in a Marvel movie or something.
Yes.
They're making the guy out like a hero. We discussed that this morning. Now, I can't see exactly when Trump sent this out, so I don't know if it was yesterday or today, in fairness. And it was one of his long diatribes, and it's on going after 60 Minutes and CBS and Paramount. We discussed this in our show yesterday.
Yep.
A longtime executive producer of 60 Minutes stepped down, Bill Owen, because he felt that Paramount, the parent company of CBS and 60 Minutes, was putting undue pressure on him. He couldn't do the stories he wanted to anymore. And so Trump Truth Socialed out on that on his social media platform. But then he includes this, quote, the failing New York Times, which is fake news, both in writing and polling, claims that People said the case is baseless, the one that he has against CBS and Paramount. They don't mean that. They just have a non-curable case of Trump derangement syndrome, possibly to the point where the Times injection makes them liable for tortuous interference, including in elections, which we are already intently studying, unquote. And it goes on from there.
I like the headline better in the original Hungarian when Viktor Orban wrote it. Trigvi can tell you more about that.
It's just. And we've discussed a little bit, but I want your take as someone who studied journalism, who was in it for a long time and did it very well, this ongoing intimidation and seemingly capitulation by many of the major media outlets in this country.
That's just it. As long as they continue to capitulate, if you give a mouse a cookie, I mean, do we really have to say anything more than that? And at some point, enough people will have studied what happened in Hungary, what had happened in the Philippines, what has happened in other countries out there where you had flourishing democracies until times got a little bit rough and people took the shortcut of embracing somebody who promised the moon and stars when he had no intention of giving you the moon and stars. What he wanted was power, and started using that power in ways that maybe at first made you happy, but at some point made people go, hey, wait a minute. I thought he was going to go after everybody except me. And it doesn't work that way. So you can cheer who he's going after right now. You don't like CBS and 60 Minutes? Fine. Don't for a moment think he's going to stop there till at some point you're going, hey, wait a minute. My daughter-in-law is a good person. You know, she came to this country legally. Why is she in prison? Well, because she spoke out. And that's the path we're going down if you continue to give this mouse yet another cookie.
I just think about the journalists, guys like Scott McFarland, women like Jane Crawford, who are great journalists at CBS, who really do wonderful work. And you think, wow, what's their lives like right now? Trying to do what they journalistically know they be doing, but this comes from the top.
Exactly. Not getting the respect and appreciation they should.
Always respect and appreciate Pat Kreitlow. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. Have a great day up in Lake Minnesota.
Yep,
we'll see you next Wednesday. We'll see if Travy can make it. Come on back. We got Mark on the line. We'll take his call next on Pacific Media Radio Network.
Bomb.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Talk to you a little later.
All right. Thank you.
See you, Aaron. Bye.
This is your local
Adios.
media radio station. Want to hear even more? time? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
Weather is changing around the state, and Wisconsin farmers are going from keeping air out to moving air through. I'm Pam Yankee with a quick update on what's happening in food and farming
I thought
news
they were going to say
on
air
a
in,
Wednesday.
and I was like,
That's
me?
because our livestock depend on
But they said
farmers
through,
and the
and I'm
ventilation
disappointed.
systems they work with to keep them comfortable as the hot summer months roll in. Courtney Allbaugh is the director of the Dairyland Initiative. Started in 2010, the initiative is all about providing tools and educational resources for Wisconsin farmers to keep cattle comfortable.
So the Dairyland Initiative is an outreach program at the School of Veterinary Medicine at the University of Wisconsin-Madison that's geared towards providing dairy industry professionals from farmers, veterinarians, nutritionists, and builders information about welfare-friendly dairy cattle barn design and lameness prevention tools. So anybody who is looking for information about either building a new facility or remodeling an existing one for both cows and calves, they should check out the Dairyland Initiative website as well as our podcast series on different aspects of building design.
That's Courtney Allbaugh. She is the outreach specialist for the Dairyland Initiative. Coming up May 14th and 15th, they are focused in on trying to provide tools to farmers to help manage cows when it comes to our summertime heat, as well as baby calves. If you're interested in tapping into some of the resources that are available, just search the Dairyland Initiative.
When it's time to choose a residual herbicide for your soybeans, you need broad-spectrum weed control that lasts. Zidua Pro and Zidua SC herbicides by BASF give your crop up to 2 more weeks of residual weed control, providing 50% more control than other Group 15 residuals. The long-lasting herbicide portfolio protects your soybeans from even the toughest weeds while providing a steady growing environment for the entire season. Talk to your retailer today about adding Zidua Pro and Zidua SC herbicides to your 2025 plan. Always read and follow label directions.
With Clarifly Larvicide, you get more than just a fly control product. You get more support, more expertise, and more control to prevent the emergence of nuisance flies from the manure of treated cattle by as much as 96%. It is perfectly blended in your mineral supplement to become a part of what you are already doing, feeding your cattle. Get control of flies with a comprehensive program built around Clarifly Larvicide and Starbar products. To learn more about Clarifly Larvicide, contact your local feed dealer or visit centralflycontrol.com.
And the state DNR is getting ready for their 2025 spongy moth suppression program. Spongy moth, formerly known as gypsy moth, has infested a lot of our state parks. Beginning mid-May, a total of 544 acres will be treated with an aerial spray. Find more details at MidwestFarmReport.com. I'm Pam Yankee.
Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us.
More clouds than sunshine today, but still mild high temperatures, making it to the mid-60s. We've got a light south breeze and a system swinging in tonight, bringing the chance of sprinkles late this evening and rain ramping up overnight, leaving us with a damp and dreary day tomorrow. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Right now, 66 degrees.
We are the keepers of the wild. For more than 80 years, we've been committed to conserving the natural landscapes that define our nation. Nothing is more important than maintaining wild spaces for adventurers to explore and wildlife to thrive. We are America's hunters and target shooters. Together with firearm, ammunition, and archery manufacturers, we've supported the conservation of more than 36 million acres of American wildlands. For more information, visit outdoorstewards.org.
The John and Gordy Show.
We have as our special guest Mike McCabe.
What they are trying to do is finance $4 trillion worth of tax cuts for the rich. We've got a whole bunch of billionaires who don't pay taxes, and we are deporting people who do pay taxes.
All right, thank you.
So, I said it's not like we're
ever in the lead and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. Glad to have you along on a Wednesday, April 30th, 2025. Aaron Sommer is on the board. Glad to be here. Glad to have Pat Kreitlow with us as well from Mornings of Pat Kreitlow. I almost said Up North News Radio. It's powered.
Well, no, you did anyway.
Powered by Up North News Radio. But
Well, it's powered by Up North News. Up North News Radio was the name of the show.
Okay, fine. I know. Pat Kreitlow is on the air every morning from 6 until 9 now. That much we know. That much we know for certain. It's a great program. Hope you will tune in. And then after Pat, you've got Jane Matt Nair and Greg Bach with Matt Nair on air. And then you've got the Tom program, Tom Hartman, and then us, and then Maggie Dawn, and then Pete Schwaba. So that's the new lineup, and you can enjoy it each and every day here on the Civic Media Radio Network. Talking a little bit about the gross domestic product, GDP, announced this morning it was lower than expected. According to the Associated Press, U.S. stocks began this morning with a thud after a report suggested the U.S. economy may have shrunk at the start of the year. But the big losses soon eased in the latest sharp swings to hit Wall Street and uncertainty about what President Donald Trump's trade war will do to the economy. S&P 500 was down 0.5% this afternoon and trading on track to break a 6-day winning streak. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down 94 points or 0.2% as of 2:27 Eastern Time this afternoon. And the NASDAQ Composite was about 0.9% lower today. They had been on track for much worse losses earlier in the morning, when the S&P 500 was down as much as 2.3% and the Dow dipped 780 points. But again, the first thing Donald Trump said this morning was, look, this ain't my fault. This is Biden's economy. But we read to you earlier in the broadcast with Pat Kreitlow on Trump's own social media in January, right after he got elected or inaugurated. He said, this is my economy. This is the Trump economy. It's going well. And now this morning, this is Biden's economy. Even David Portnoy, who's from Barstool Sports, we've talked about him before, one of the big bro influencers, has the big Barstool Sports franchise, influences a lot of predominantly young men. Even Portnoy, to kind of put it nicely, said, you can't take a leak on my back and tell me it's raining. Either tell the truth or fess up. So when you're losing guys like David Portnoy and kind of the bro sphere, you got problems if you're Donald Trump.
Yeah, it's people who are willing to give him the benefit of the doubt and say, this seems crazy, but I think he knows what he's doing long term. And at this point, they're like, yeah, all right. You've had your long term. You've had 100 days, and you've only made things worse every day.
Yeah, absolutely. 855-752-4842 if you want to weigh in. 855-752-4842 on the Trump economy so far. Mark and Curtis Sack, you've been waiting a long time. I appreciate you holding. Mark, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, for Donald Trump, I mean, that is a drowsy Don on one day, it's dastardly Don on another day, duplicitous Don on another day, devious Don, despicable Don, dictator Don. I mean, it's all, it's a different Don every day, and that's just using the D words.
Right.
I mean, there's got to be a whole plethora of words we could use for describing Donald Trump. I mean, and the scariest one of all is dictator Don, and the way that these people just all vacillate before him, and just entire cabinet is just a complete lack of any kind of integrity or courage at all.
Yeah, it's disturbing to say the least, and I think what Pat was saying before as well is just that these are the types of things we're seeing in so much of the media kind of capitulating on. And so I'm looking more at individual reporters who I follow within CBS or ABC or CNN or New York Times, some of these more long-term trusted publications, which and I think this is important to say, for my frustration with the corporate companies of Paramount, Global, and Disney, which controls ABC, Paramount controls CBS, and others, and Jeff Bezos controlling papers as well. My frustration at the corporate level of the ownership should not be mistaken for my admiration of many of the individual reporters within those organizations who are still doing really great work. And so I think it's important to note that and know there are still people like Scott Pelley and Jan Crawford and others at CBS and others at all the other aforementioned national publications, but also really important to note and to support local journalism in your own community. We are fortunate in Wisconsin to still have many local newspapers. Buy a subscription. Support them that way. We have state newspapers, Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, Wisconsin State Journal.
And a lot of magazines, too.
And magazines. We have Wisconsin Examiner, Wisconsin Watch, others, who are...
Recombobulation area.
Thank you. Recombobulation area. Our friend Dan Schaefer. So more important now than ever that we have people that are dedicated to true journalism and who will suss out the truth and report that. As is known, the press, the fourth estate, right? Just keeping people in line. What are your thoughts on this? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. We mentioned earlier one of these Trump cabinet meetings, which is basically let us tell you how much we love you meeting to Donald Trump. I thought this was great because Trump was asked by the press in this so-called cabinet meeting. Oh, by the way, Steve Milwaukee at AUK says Major Garrett, yes, at CBS, one of the absolute greats. Major Garrett and Caitlin Collins at CNN doing great work as well. Agreed. Anyway, this meeting this morning, Trump was asked about the tariffs. And we've been talking about this now for several days, several shows, and reporting to you that what's happening in China right now, there are a lot of container ships that are empty, or they simply have been taking other leases or other deals other places, and they're not there. Many of the big shipping ports in Los Angeles and Seattle look, I don't want to say vacant, but the amount of container ships in their ports are dramatically down right now. And that's because U.S. companies are not buying and bringing things from China due to this 45% tariff. And for every day this stays in place, it's going to mean fewer goods getting into the United States, which will ultimately mean, and I know this sounds crazy right now because people go to the stores and say, well, Todd, everything is filled up. There's no empty shelves. You're right. But we're about, according to experts, 4-ish, maybe 5 weeks away from many of the things we buy not being there. And I'm not trying to start a panic buying. Experts are saying don't panic buy, don't hoard. But they're already saying things like notebooks, pens, things like that back to school items. If this continues, Trump's tariffs on China, you might not be able to find them. And this includes toys for Christmas of this year. And President Trump was asked this morning about Christmas 2025. Here's what he said.
Much of it we don't need. Somebody said, oh, the shelves are going to be open. Well, maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30, And maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. But we're not talking about something that we have to go out of our way. They have ships that are loaded up with stuff, much of which, not all of it, but much of which we don't need.
Trump says, we don't need it. Yeah, your kids, instead of having $30, I'll have $2. I don't know very many people are buying their kids $30,
Yeah, that's just another little detail that shows his disconnect from reality.
Right. Yeah, right. Maybe in Trump world, maybe they do buy their kids $30 for Christmas. I don't know.
It's like, I can't remember what show it was from. How much could one egg cost? $10?
Right. And to Trump, a couple of bucks means $100. Right? I had a friend of mine, he's passed away now, but a guy who was in the landscaping business from Chicago. And he dealt in big volumes of stuff. And so if he said, oh, it was a couple of bucks, it meant $200. Bucks. Every time he said bucks, it meant $100. Yeah, it cost me a couple of bucks. And 200. So maybe in Trump world, you say, yeah, it might cost you $200 more. Which to most people in Wisconsin, that's a heck of a lot of money.
Means you're not getting it.
Or exactly. So Zombers, if we can make sure we save that somewhere, because I want it handy when we get to Christmas later on this year. Did you watch the Milwaukee Bucks game last night? Let's bring that up for a second, because I did not, because I couldn't find. I don't subscribe to FanDuel, and I don't think I have like NBC TV or NBA TV. And I was reading this morning, our own sports reporter Mike Clemens, great sports reporter that he is, he tweeted out this morning. Mike Clemens did a tweet of Pat McAfee, who is, as the show on ESPN, is on College Game Day, all that. And he's lives in Indy, big Pacers fan. And McAfee could not find the game last night, apparently. and so Mike Clemens tweeted out and said, here's a multimillionaire sports media personality that couldn't get the game. And yet the NBA wonders why their ratings have gone down. So I did not watch the game last night, but the Bucks choked and lost in overtime to the Pacers. They're done for the season. Not happy about that, by the way. And afterwards, the press asked Giannis Antetokounmpo about his future, which, I mean, I know why the press has to do it, but again, if you're Giannis, I mean, it's just not the time for that. I thought he handled it well. Here's what Giannis said in the post-game press conference last night.
Giannis, you've always kind of stated about wanting to win and win championships and win a second championship and how important it is to you. Do you think that you can still win that second championship here in Milwaukee after a third straight first-round exit?
Look, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. I know how this is going to go. Whatever I say, I know how it's going to translate. I don't know, man. I wish I was still playing. I wish I was still like competing and going back to Milwaukee. I don't know.
Giannis last night, after the Bucks are eliminated in the postseason, third straight year, first round elimination. And again, he's emotional. What's his name? The guy, the player originally from Wisconsin, plays for the Pacers. Now his dad gets all up in Giannis's face on the court after the game, and the dad had to end up apologizing today on Twitter. I mean, that's just how bizarre this stuff has gotten. So I mean, Giannis had a rough. I mean, he played great, and he got Dame out now until hopefully he comes back next season if the Bucks keep him. But what is Giannis supposed to say in that situation? And a lot of people are now on the whole, well, he's got 2 more years left of his contract, or the Bucks going to try to trade him and all that kind of jazz. Look, I think Giannis has given everything to Milwaukee, and I hope he stays. But I would not blame him if he wants to go somewhere and win a championship. I'm not saying I want him to go, but there's a guy with a lot of character who's given everything to Milwaukee. How about that?
Local news, weather, and sports on air and streaming on the Civic Media app. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet
what's the
AMD.
Twitter again? It has
Izervay
the
may
cuts on
temporarily
it.
increase
Is
eye
it
pressure.
ACRN
Your vision
or
may be impaired
A?
after an
What
eye
is
injection or exam.
What'd you say?
Don't delay.
The Twitter
Ask your
feed that has
doctor
the
about
cuts on it.
Izervay today.
ACYN.
Thank you.
Also, Megan helps me out. I found that it's not about an egg, it's about a banana. The clip of like, how much could one banana cost?
Oh, okay.
It's your girl, Brandy
And then the response
Grayson,
is, you've
the
never set
hostess
foot
with
in a
the
supermarket, have you?
mostest of the Black
Was that
Conversion
Trump
Show.
or who?
And I'm
No,
inviting
it's from Arrested Development. So it, it was a TV show. It just reminded me of it.
Okay. I'm trying to find something I found this morning. I sent it to myself. I don't know why. Sometimes when I send myself stuff, it doesn't come through, and it frustrates me.
What was it?
It's a clip of one of the. I'm not sure if it's Secretary of Treasury or who it is, saying that basically, well, if you strip out the tariffs, the economy is doing great.
FARA has been in place since 1938, but recently states are passing
It's like,
their own
well,
version
yeah,
of
sure.
baby
If you don't want to
boomers.
talk
What are
about
they,
tariffs,
how do they relate to American democracy? The
that,
federal version
that's largely
requires
why the
representatives
economy
of
is
a foreign
going
principal,
down right now.
government, political party, or individual doing political work in the United States to disclose their relationships, income, and spending. Recently, state legislatures are increasingly concerned with foreign influence in elections and spending on ballot initiatives. April 22nd, Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders signed 2 bills addressing those concerns. HB 1800 amends the state's campaign finance law to require disclosure of political activity by a representative of a hostile foreign principal.
Hey, John, Jed, Jorn, whoever that is on YouTube, appreciate you watching. I'm not exactly following what you're talking about. If this is like more of these theories about the 2024 election not being accurate, I'm just with all due respect, I'm not going down that path because it's just not true. The 2020 election was free, fair, and accurate. The 2024 election was free, fair, and accurate. And
20 seconds.
That's just the end of it. Pursuing truth wherever it may lead and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. Glad to have you along. 8 minutes before the hour of 3 o'clock at the top of the hour. Full news, weather, and sports for you. Mike Clemens, our great sports reporter, tell us what's going on. Probably have a little Bucks update of his own there. And then what's worse in hour number 2, menu QR codes or paperless tickets. I have feelings. We'll talk about it in hour 2. And also Tim Grierson, senior U.S. film critic at Screen Daily and at the LA Times, joins us live from Los Angeles to talk about Nicolas Cage movies in particular, and maybe film as well. So looking forward to that conversation. Right now, talking about some of these Trump tariffs, ramifications, economy not doing well once again today, Trump trying to blame it on Biden. And also we brought up the Bucks lost last night. And just to put a button on that, again, I want Giannis to stay. Let me make that clear. I hope he does. But he's also you could argue, I mean, you know, you've got other players out there that are still, LeBron, obviously, one of the most fantastic players out there. You got, there are other people out there. But my point is that Giannis has to be within the top 5 players in the NBA right now. And if Dame can't come back next year for the Bucks, without Dame and Giannis, I mean, what else? I mean, yeah, there's some talented players, but I would not personally blame Giannis if he said, look, I've only got so much time in my prime and I want to win another NBA championship. And if the Bucks can't give me the tools to do that around me, then, that's just the way the world works these days. And someone said to me recently, loyalty is transactional. And what a company thinks of you is directly related to how much they pay you and the assets they provide you. So if the Bucks aren't going to give Giannis the assets to win, you can't blame the guy. I don't want that to happen. And he's part owner of the Brewers. His family loves Milwaukee. He's indebted to Milwaukee. But he has to do his best for it. I want him to be happy. He's given Milwaukee everything that in Wisconsin that we deserve. I want him to be happy. Let's go to the phone lines, 855-752-4842. Troy in Mount Horeb, listening on WMDX. Troy, thanks for calling. What say you?
Yeah, thanks for bringing us down with the Bucks talk. I appreciate that.
Sorry. I'm a realist.
So you said that Trump said, they're chips with stuff we don't even need because they do that all the time.
Right.
Business sense is always to load up ships with stuff people don't even need and send them all over. Yeah.
Look at my pantry. There's all kinds of things I don't need.
No, well, that's for everybody.
No, but I mean,
Have
look,
a good day.
every
I just wanted to point that out.
I appreciate. Think about it. Troy. Every Costco run. Oh, I went in for detergent and I come out with $150 of stuff I don't need. But it was
that was detergent.
All right. Thanks, Troy. I appreciate it. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Cam, listening in Appleton. Cam, thanks for calling in. What do you got?
Hey, I am fairly frustrated that we aren't getting enough coverage on, at least on civics primary shows, for the Election Truth Alliance and Smart Elections data, because they have been showing on other shows, major shows, like Tom Hartman's show. They've shown on the Titus broadcast, Christopher Titus. And what would it take you, Todd, in order to be able to look at this? Because right now you blindly say, for good reason, that the election wasn't manipulated, but there's PhDs, computer data scientists, people that were involved with the elections. One of them is from Tennessee. They're saying this is messed up. There is manipulation signs.
So I don't know who's Tom Titus or whatever that. I never heard of that program. Who's Titus?
Christopher Titus.
What network is he on?
He is on his own network. It is that can be knocked down if you want to knock that one down. But he's been on Tom Hartman's show.
All right. Well, I mean, with all due respect, Tom Hartman is a progressive, left-leaning broadcast, and if they want to talk about that stuff, that's fine. That's up to them. But I have faith in Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and the DNC and every other major Democratic institution. If they would have thought there was any sort of hanky-panky or election interference that would have made any difference in the final outcome, they controlled the executive branch and not the federal government, but they controlled things at that time. Don't you think they would have raised this question before they turned over power to Trump if they thought there was election interference that made a difference in the outcome of the election?
Yes, but they could not get enough of the information on how they did it, because finding noise curve manipulation takes time. That is a fact. When it comes to mass collections of data, you have to wait for the states to be able to post that data.
Cam, I always appreciate you calling. I appreciate your listenership, but I would be remiss if, as much as Zommers, you can tell me if I'm wrong, I think I probably go after my former party 90% of the time on this show, compared to maybe 10% I go after Democrats on this show. And as much as I denounce the Donald Trumps and the MAGA leadership and those who say the 2020 election was stolen, I feel equally as passionate about those on the left, like Hartman or whoever, that try to bring up these conspiracy theories and try to say that, oh my gosh, somehow Elon Musk and the computers, stole the election, or that there were, I got people right now on the YouTube saying, oh, there were 200 bomb threats or whatever, that's not fair. Look, there are threats in there are threats in every election, but at the end of the day, did those things make a difference in the outcome? And Democrats just don't want to look in the mirror and say we should have done better, that we lost young people, that we didn't get people out to vote, that the far left said, oh, we'd rather have Trump than Joe Biden because it's the lesser of two evils. I mean, those are the reasons that Democrats lost. And they need to fess up to that and move on. Move on. Come back to the show. It's hour number 2 after this.
This is 92.7 WMDX Columbus, Madison's home for real news and great conversation. A civic media station.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The nation's gross domestic product reversing course in the first quarter, shrinking by 0.3%, the first negative growth period since 2022 during the pandemic. The report shows businesses shifted to importing as many goods as possible ahead of tariffs. During a cabinet meeting, President Trump blamed the drop on President Biden's administration and says China's economy will suffer more, but he also says Americans may have to cut back.
Somebody said, oh, the shelves are going to be open. Well, maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30, and maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. But
Supreme Court justices hearing arguments today in an Oklahoma case on whether a Catholic charter school can operate using public funds or if it violates separation of church and state. General Motors issuing a recall for some 600,000 of its full-size trucks and SUVs over fears their engines could fail without warning. This is ABC News.
Your news, conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic Media app.
From the WMDX newsroom, I'm Terry Barr. A
Tom
one-time
was
Republican
saying that,
administration member is representing
he brought up the
Milwaukee
point,
judge
like,
facing
just like
federal felonies.
Trump talks
Stuart J.
about
Waddles explains.
Biden as both being the most incompetent person on the planet and also a criminal mastermind. Whatever he's saying, like, well, Elon Musk also gets referred to as both of those things. Does he not know what he's doing, or is he hacking into all the machines? That's what he wants to bring up.
Okay.
I didn't know how to write it in only a couple words.
That's fine,
Judge
thanks.
Dugan's court duties will be reassigned while she prepares for a May 15th federal hearing.
An investigation into the way a former Madison city clerk handled close to 200 unaccounted absentee ballots reveals a violation of city rules.
And
Savannah
yes,
Tony Olson has
Casper, I appreciate your comment. They did send, like he's commenting, the posting links would get removed, but they did send them in via text. So we do have links. I haven't had the time to read through it yet because it's a lot of stuff. But
we're not going to spend time on that. I mean, unless we want to, we could investigate Sasquatch too.
Investigators concluded she had significant violations of city rules and breached her contract, signaling that if she didn't resign earlier this month, she may have been removed from her post permanently. The report says no other staff of the clerk's office violated these rules. Any of their errors were due to failures in leadership and direction. The Wisconsin Elections Commission is still investigating the uncounted ballots. They have the power to find the former clerk acted improperly or even illegally.
And with storms earlier in the week, if tornado sirens or alerts go off near you, do you know where to go? Meteorologist Brittany Merlot tells us.
Always head to the lowest level, like a basement if you have it, or the ground floor, and pick a spot that's got as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Tornadoes tend to tear through upper levels and rip out exterior walls as the roof blows off. Then, flying debris becomes missiles. Get low and cover your head.
I'm Terry Barr.
The Bucks lose in Indy. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Bucks had a 20-point lead, but lost in overtime to the Pacers 119-118, ending their season. Giannis scoring his fourth career double-double in a playoff game, but got into a pushing and shoving match after he says the father of the Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton, was out of line.
Coming in the floor and cursing at me, I think it's totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable, okay? It's not respectful. I talked with him at the end.
The Pacers winning the playoff series 4-1. Baseball, the Brewers with a 7-2 win over the White Sox in Chicago. Milwaukee's Isaac Collins with his first career home run on FanDuel, Wisconsin.
Collins in the number 2 spot today. Collins, a drive into left field. This has hit a ton, and Isaac Collins gives the Brewers a 1-0 lead. No doubt about it.
He just ripped it out in the White Sox bullpen.
Game 2 of the 3-game series is tonight with Sports on Mike Clemens.
You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
More clouds than
I
sunshine
think we're just going to have
today,
to
but
agree
still
to
mild
disagree,
high temperatures,
John.
making it to the mid-60s. We've got a light south breeze and a system swinging in tonight, bringing the chance of sprinkles late this evening and rain ramping up overnight, leaving us with a damp and dreary day tomorrow. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Currently, it's 65.
Reviewing the week's legal news with a friend of the court.
Well, I'm looking forward to Saturday morning. I haven't missed one. Outstanding, just like being in school.
It has been a week
in the areas of law and government and the aspiration for justice in America. As always, I am delighted. I am honored that you have chosen to spend some of your weekend time with me in discussion.
Amicus, a law review with Jim Santel. Saturday mornings from 9 to 11. The John and Gordy Show.
Do we have as our special guest Mike McCabe?
What they are trying to do is finance $4 trillion worth of tax cuts for the rich. We've got a whole bunch of billionaires who don't pay taxes, and we are deporting people who do pay taxes.
Yeah.
So, I said it's not like we're rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. We're throwing paying passengers overboard to make more room for a bigger first class for those freeloaders who are
A
lounging.
little less than 30 seconds.
Gracias.
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with Mr. Aaron Zommers. It is 6 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock. Welcome into hour number 2 of the big program. It is Wednesday, April 30th, 2025. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite, and it is somewhere.
Hump day!
The camel is taking even the camel is thrown off, but the time changes a little bit.
Oh, he had to take a bathroom break.
Oh, really? Good to know. TMI. Welcome into hour number 2. Glad to be along with you. Coming up here at hour number 2. At the bottom of the hour, Tim Grierson, senior film critic in the United States for Screen Daily and the Los Angeles Times, will begin to talk a little Nicolas Cage with us and films as well. Always appreciate when Tim takes the time to stop by. And coming up in a minute, what's worse, dealing with analog versus digital. That's how I'll characterize it. So we'll take those for you as well. A couple of things to get to. First of all, ended last hour with a couple of callers and people on YouTube and like keep bringing up this, what I think is ridiculous. No disrespect to the callers, texters, that sort of thing. I'm saying whoever's perpetuating this at the top of whatever chain, they're just ridiculous claims. Somehow the 2024 election was somehow thrown off and not fair and not accurate. And I just said, look, I spent 90% of my time roughly on this program going after my former party, the Republicans, which I left in 2011, long before Donald Trump ever got on the scene. And I spent about 10% of the time roughly but to suss out the truth on the Democratic side. Because, I'm an independent. I don't think either side is 100% right all the time. I vote Democratic, voted that way ever since 2011. Doesn't mean I'm not a card-carrying member, A, and B, I don't think they're always right. And so this whole theory that somehow there's data there that shows that it was off and there's this whole other theory out there. I don't like to talk about it very much because I don't want to give credence to it. But when people call in and then say that Tom Hartman on the show before me, the national show, talks about this stuff and gives it credence, that's just fueling the fire. And people say, well, Todd, you say sometimes, there are people on the far right and the far left. Who is far left? If you believe this kind of Sasquatch, Bigfoot stuff, you're far left. I'm sorry you are. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Tom and McFarland called in during the break. Tom, what do you want to say?
Thanks for taking my call, and I am so with you. And, I think that if there's anything that could be put to rest is this idea that Elon Musk is some kind of IT genius, like he likes to pattern himself after Tony Stark on the Marvel Universe. But he is just as much of a character as Tony Stark is in the Marvel Universe. And he knows as much about IT as Donald Trump does about business, which is diddly over squat. I mean, look what he did with Twitter.
Right.
So the idea that Musk can somehow or another engineer something like this, it literally is impossible.
Yeah.
Our voting systems, as we've demonstrated from the last time that we came up, the systems that they say would be needed to hack into the system, our voting systems don't use those systems. They're not connected in the way that they said. What we have,
Bingo.
Each state having its own system, its own hodgepodge collection. There's not some uniform federal election system that they can hack into. It's 50 different ways. And to think that any one entity could hack into this, it boggles my mind, particularly since our systems aren't connected to the internet. How would they actually be able to do this? No. So, yes, thank you very much. The idea that Musk is some kind of another super genius when everything he touches is destroyed exactly like he does with Trump, give it a rest.
Yeah.
And instead, look at how Democrats are lousy at messaging when they're great at governance. That's the problem, is we need to change up our messaging. Republicans are great at it, which is why they won. Democrats, we suck at it, which is why we lost. We don't connect with voters at a messaging level. And until that changes, well, I guess we're going to go after the conspiracy theories, because I guess that makes more sense. Sure. Okay.
Great
Thanks
call,
for taking
Tom.
my call, Matt.
Thanks. Great. Appreciate it, Tom. Tom McFarland, great call. 855-752-4842. Want to get to what's worse, but let's go up to WCFW, beautiful Eau Claire in Chippewa Valley up there. Gene and Eau Claire, what say you?
Hi. Well, I'm no computer expert, but I remember watching, when all the bikers are at the Black Hills, for the big motorcycle rally. Watch it every year. Before, they had all kinds of Trump signs. Everything was Trump, 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 F Biden, all kinds of stuff like that. Nothing supporting Trump. So I thought, whoa, that's a good sign. I don't know anything about computers. I know that Wisconsin's elections are safe, but are all of the other ones? See, I don't know anything about this stuff, but boy, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I am concerned, though, about what the devil's going on in our country right now in the way that Trump's attacking all of the structures that make America safe, make America, be able to thrive, and the way that he is bashing every single one of them, going after everything, with all the confusion and things. And I'm really concerned about our country, and I hope the people really and truly wake up, and I'm really proud of all those people who are out there in the streets having their voices heard saying this is wrong. So you guys are doing such a great job. I am so thankful for civic media to get information, facts out to people. So thank you very much for the outstanding services that you provide to the state of Wisconsin and even to the United States. So thanks, guys. Keep up the great work. And have a good day. Bye-bye.
Appreciate the show. Appreciate the call, Gene. Thank you so very much. Always a pleasure. 13 now past the hour of 3 o'clock. Time once again for What's Worse. Let's go.
This or that, this or that. Then, of course, the choice is yours. You can get with this or you can get with that.
For What's Worse, no prize money involved, nothing to give away, but it is your chance to have your voice heard all across the state of Wisconsin here on all 11 news talk stations, sports as well, across Civic Media's radio network. No better way to get your message out than to advertise with us. Go to civicmedia.us to have your chance to learn how to advertise on Civic Media. Join our team. We would love to have you. All right, timely indeed, because nicer weather is ours. People are going out eating. I love to eat outside during this time of year when it's getting warmer.
It's very nice, yeah.
Exactly. Well, now, and as someone who worked in the service industry for a while and managed a sports bar, I'll tell you, one of the things that gets the dirtiest in a restaurant, the menus, like whether they're paper or they're plastic. Because if you're a good restaurant, you take sanitizer and you wipe those down at least once a day, if not a couple of times a day. And so now here's our What's Worse category today. Menu QR codes or paperless tickets. Menu QR codes or paperless tickets. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. We'd love to hear from you. Now, I don't blame you if you don't know what the menu QR code is, because there are some areas that just don't have them yet.
It's in places like Madison. They're cropping up a lot.
Green Bay, I've
Milwaukee
seen
has them.
it.
Green Bay.
Yeah.
What Wisconsin would consider bigger cities.
Right. And so what it is you go in and you sit down at a restaurant, and they have a QR code. It's a square that looks like a bunch of squiggly lines within this square. And you take out your smartphone and you take a picture of it, and that takes to a link of a menu for that restaurant. And so you look at the menu on your phone, and they don't have a paper menu. And, it's probably more sanitary, obviously, because you're not touching something else. But you got to have the phone. You got to take it out. You got to, I don't know. And then paperless tickets, again, whether it's Brewers or Packers or Badgers, it goes to your smartphone now. And you have a ticket on your phone. You don't have a paper ticket.
Right. And with a lot of the apps now, you can't have a screenshot of your ticket because then they think, someone else might use it. You have to have the app and have it open, and it'll have like lines moving over the ticket. Not every app does, but Ticketmaster, I know, does that now.
So what's worse, menu QR codes or paperless tickets? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Let's go to Brian in Milwaukee. Brian, thanks for listening. Thanks for listening on WAUK. What say you?
Yeah, no, I love this game. I wait for this every day.
I appreciate that.
I really do. Yeah. Just from experience, I'm going to say the QR codes, because like you said, you have to pull out the phone and then you have to line it up exactly with the code, take the photo. Sometimes the link doesn't open. There's bad Wi-Fi in the restaurant. And I will say from experience, go to like the Marcus Center to see a performance or whatever. At least with the paperless tickets, like you stated, you open up the app, pull up the ticket, they just scan it, bam, you're done, you're in. It's so convenient, but those QR codes would be a pain in the butt all the time.
I agree.
So,
I agree. It's not. It does, and I'm an analog guy living in a digital world. That's the bottom line.
I thought it was a great thing. I'm like, oh, this is great. This is wonderful. And then after like the third time I try to open that QR, I'm like, can I just have a regular menu? Oh, you haven't got it right over here. Great. Just put one in at every table.
And I like the feel of a menu. I like to have it in my hand. I can look it over all at once.
Zoom in and you're trying to scan through, and it's a mess. I hate it.
Totally agree. Thanks, Brian, for the call. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. What's worse, menu QR codes or paperless tickets?
We have several texts, but there's one I want to highlight.
All right.
Something that particularly annoys me about this.
Right.
Travis in Greenfield, listening on WAUK, texts in and says, the menu QR code is fine, but I don't like having to download the menu just to see it. Just take me to the website to read it. I totally agree. A lot of menu QR codes make you download a PDF, and then that takes longer, and then it's just junk on your phone. And then it'll be like, oh, you need another PDF for the drink menu. Oh, you need another one for the dessert menu. Like that, I agree with Travis. That's really annoying when they do that.
Yeah, it's more work at the end of the day. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. You can text us on the Civic Media app. You can download it on your Apple or Android device. Get the Civic Media app today. What's worse, menu QR codes or paperless tickets? Let's go down to beautiful Greene County and Monroe. Angie in Monroe, always a pleasure. Angie, menu QR codes or paperless tickets? What's worse?
I actually am a previous server, but I never used to do it. I haven't done it lately, so I don't know how the QR code part goes. I'm curious to how easy it is for walkouts and if the servers have to pay, because usually that's how it always was. You get stuck paying for that. But how would you know when they're walkouts and paying on these QR codes? That's my question.
Well, right. No, go ahead.
Personally would pay cash, because when you pay cash, the server gets to claim a lot less of it. Just putting it out there, and it's better for the business. Also, they don't have to pay for the MasterCard charge stuff. Just putting it out there. So
I appreciate it. Thanks, Angie. No, we did that once before. We did cashless or
cash only.
Or cash only. Yeah, Angie brings up. Either way, try to leave your tip in cash. It's better for your server. Back after this with more What's Worse, and Tim Grierson from the LA Times and Screen Daily ahead as well. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show, a Wednesday edition on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX.
The Comfy Cauldron Slice of Heaven Market is back Saturday, May 17th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at 210 Main Street in DeForest. Come see makers, bakers, and healers show their talents. Free entry, parking, and gifts available for those who walk in the Comfy Cauldron doors.
32 flavors? No artificial flavors or colors? How do I choose?
Easy. Order one, then come back 31 more times.
Frosty's, West Madison's new ice cream spot, 702 South Gammon Road.
Tons of glass artists share the same passion for eye-catching art as Ignite Glass and Gifts, so we're showcasing their work alongside our talented local artists and our in-house Ignite artists. The latest techniques, the hottest colors, and mind-blowing designs are here for you to enjoy. Madison's favorite for glass, gifts, and vape, Ignite Glass and Gifts, Monona Drive, Williamson Street, and Odana Road, plus IgniteGlassandGifts.com. Do your eyes a favor and see this stuff.
Animal enthusiasts, registration is open for Camp Paw Print Summer Break at Dane County Humane Society. Kids ages 7 to 12 enjoy animal interactions, lessons with experts, service projects, art projects, and more. Visit giveshelter.org.
Tom, I've listened to more than 3 hours.
Camp for ages 12 to 14.
I'm not going to get into a fight with Tom Hartman on the air.
Bird and plant
But
identification,
I copied down the things that he talked about. Socializing America's airlines. Having the government run all of our airlines. Having a whatever the thing is this summer where this guy called in when Polkan was on and wanted to have a January 6th style thing, only instead of attacking the Capitol, he wanted to go after the White House. If those are, and instead of saying that's goofy, stop it. Hartman kind of entertained it. And if this is true, what this other guy said, or other caller said about Hartman talking about this election being stolen business, it's just that is left. I'm sorry, it's left. It ain't centrist ideas.
15 seconds.
All right, thanks. Wherever it may lead, and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. What's worse, menu QR codes or paperless tickets? Menu QR codes or paperless tickets? 22 now past the hour. Glad to have you along. Coming up at the bottom, Tim Grierson, senior film critic at Screen Daily, and also writes for the LA Times. Talking a little Nicolas Cage coming up at the bottom of the hour as well. Casper weighing in on WMDX says, I haven't printed a physical ticket for an airline ticket in 10 years. 10 years. He's clearly for the paperless tickets. Very good. Adam, now this is great, Adam. Are you in Oregon or are you in Oregon? Adam says, menu QR codes are worse because I'm old enough when you save your concert tickets as a souvenir after seeing a band. I agree with you 100%, Adam. I am the same way. I've still got somewhere, because I never got it framed, my ticket when I went to the Overture Center across the street and saw Tony Bennett live. I have a ticket from my friend Jeff Daniels took me to the big Nolan Ryan game at County Stadium. I'm 100% with you on that.
I would always save movie tickets too when I was younger. Like I think
Really?
I got to see if I still have it. Take a look. But I think I still have my ticket from when I went to go see Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith in 2006.
Very good. 855-752-4842. Go to beautiful Akanto. And Tom listening in. Tom, menu QR codes or paperless tickets? What's worse?
I'm going to be honest with you. I like them both.
You like them both. All right.
And the reason the QR code menu can be up to date. If you've got
True.
20 servings of sea bass, and now you've served 20 servings, you just gray that out. If your special is meatloaf, it's on the menu. If there's rotating seasonal beers, they're on the menu. They're not a printed menu that the server has no idea what's actually available and what's not.
Right. That's a really great point, Tom, because having worked in the service industry, that's one of the hardest things, or one difficult thing. You're right. When you only have so many servings and you're out, in 86 it, on the menu means we don't have any more. And so it's tough to keep track of that. So yeah, if you have a good system where it can keep track of inventory, yeah, that's a big plus.
Or some restaurants do like a daily menu, as in, here's what we're cooking today. If you want it, you can have it. If not, go home.
Yeah, absolutely. 855-752-4842. Zommers, menu QR codes or paperless tickets? What's worse?
Even though I just said that, and I know there's logic for it, I think I have to say that menu QR codes are worse. I think in those situations where you need to keep it up to date, they're great. But otherwise, I feel like having a paper or a laminated menu is part of the experience of eating at a restaurant. It's just another piece of the vibe at that place. Whereas a ticket to a concert or a game or a movie is usually just a rectangle, and it doesn't do anything for you while you're there.
I have a very specific reason for the one I think is worse, and it has everything to do with me and nothing to do with anybody else. It's my lack of confidence in myself for digital technology. And so therefore, I think paperless tickets are worse, because I always think, oh my God, what if my phone battery dies? What if it doesn't come through? What if it doesn't show up? It's out there in the cloud. I can't hang on to it. If I have a paper ticket, whether it's to a sports event or a movie or whatever, I have it in my hot little hands. I can put it in my pocket. I know exactly where it's at. I can touch it. I know I'm getting into the thing if I have my paper ticket. If it's on a phone, if it's on a device, there are a million things that could go wrong. It all goes back to almost everywhere I've worked in my entire adult career. At some point, somebody in the company has said, well, you can't mess it up. And inevitably, something on my computer or whatever, and I go to the IT person of the company, and they're like, wow, I don't know, never seen that before.
I've witnessed this happen to Todd. I've been the person to say, oh, I haven't seen that.
Right. And people look at it, well, I don't know, I've never seen that before. It always happens to me. Now, if that happens at a restaurant, worst comes to worst, the server can tell me what the menu is, or I just order a burger. If I'm stuck 3 hours away at a concert or whatever, they're going to look at me and say, I don't know, dude, here's the number to call. So, I mean, so yes, I think paperless tickets are worse. Off the text line, WMDX, QR code menus are great for those of us that are losing our nearsightedness. Oh, very good. And so it's backlit, and you can make it larger if you want on the screen. Now that's fantastic, right? Because I've gotten to the age where you go out in the evening, like to a nicer place, or they bring you a menu, and the lighting is so bad, and I got to I do take out my phone, and I either use the light from the screen, or I have to turn on my flashlight on the phone in order to read the menu. And younger, my godsons, whoever, my nieces, they laugh at this. They think it's hysterical that Todd has to take out his phone in order to read the paper menu. So I agree with you, caller on MDX. Tina, I guess that is. Tina, thanks for listening. Thanks for calling in here in Madison MDX. I totally agree with that. Tim, watching on YouTube, says paperless tickets are worse. In its historic game, I like having the ticket stub, like Young's 3,000th hit, opening day at Miller Park, etc. There you go. Yeah, that's Ziju says, oh, Todd, one of those technology impaired folks, the kind where things don't work in a weird new way. Well, See, as I said, I'm an analog guy living in a digital world.
I think you could make a lot in QA testing for software.
Yes, probably could. It doesn't matter whether you like to read your movie reviews in analog form or digital form. You can see his work at Screen Daily and the LA Times. Tim Grierson is next. Don't go anywhere. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network.
New choice. Madison's real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX. Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us.
All right. It looks like we have Tim here. Or
Tim
will shortly.
Grierson. All right, I'm going to use the facility right back.
Sounds good.
I'm Ben Jarbo with the Midwest Farm Report, and Jim Adamski from the Adamski Sugar Bush out of Anago shares what the next steps are for the maple syrup industry.
Our business kind of runs year round. You know, we're bottling and packaging syrup on a pretty annual or on a pretty much a weekly basis. You know, like I say, we work year round. It's not just kind of production and over with. You know, as we get into late summer, early fall, we start to do our fall maintenance, go through all of our tubing that's in the woods. You know, check it for animal damage and stuff like that, or any holes that would have gotten chewed through the tubing. And then, you know, once we get a little farther along, end of November, first part of December, we'll put on the new taps for next year. And then typically we start tapping, probably middle of January. So kind of a year-round thing. It's not really a seasonal production. So
Adamski does say that it was a pretty good year for the collection, and we should have plenty of syrup to put in our pancakes and waffles for the rest of 2025. From the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Ben Jarbo, and we'll take a look at those closing markets right after this.
The Midwest Farm Report is headed to Washington, D.C. Tune in and follow along online as we sit down with officials to discuss legislation and topics impacting farmers, from USDA updates and weather trends to cybersecurity and labor issues. We will be covering it all May 5th, 6th, and 7th. This special coverage is brought to you by the Wisconsin Soybean Association, dedicated to ensuring policies are in place for the future of soybean farmers. For full coverage and interviews, visit MidwestFarmReport.com.
There goes Pam Yankee across Wisconsin in her suburban truck. Thanks to Blaine's Farm and Fleet, the original, authentic, still family-owned since 1955. And thanks to Monarch Media Design. The experts at Monarch can do everything from vinyl graphics to full trailer wraps, serving Madison since 2000. Monarch specializes in vehicle wraps and graphics. Keep up with Pam at MidwestFarmReport.com and on Facebook and Instagram.
I'm Ben Jarbo with the Midwest Farm Report. Now let's take a look at those closing markets. Cash corn is up 6 3/4 cents at $4.67 1/4, with new crop up 1 3/4 at $4.46 1/4. Cash soybeans are down 6 1/4 at $10.34 3/4, with new crop soybeans down 7 cents at $10.18 1/4. May wheat contracts are trading up 7 1/4 cents at $5.13, with July wheat up 5 1/4 at $5.13 3/4. Class 3 milk for May is up 4 cents at $18.38 a hundredweight, with June.
It looks
up
like
15 cents at
Tim
17.39
Grierson is in here with his camera and mic off currently.
All right, that's
Maybe he's still getting ready. Just wanted to let you know.
3 minutes yet.
And butter finished up 5
2 minutes, but yeah.
at $2.29 1/2.
Zomer is always on top of
I'm
it.
Ben Jarbo.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
More clouds than sunshine today, but still mild high temperatures, making it to the mid-60s. We've got a light south breeze and a system swinging in tonight, bringing the chance of sprinkles late this evening and rain ramping up overnight, leaving us with a damp and dreary day tomorrow. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Right now, 66 degrees.
Amicus, a law review with Jim Santel.
Ross calling in.
Thanks for your show. I'm just wondering if we're watching or witnessing a legal system that where what we thought was precedent is now going to be sort of cast away.
The reality is the question that you raise about the future and what
About
are the
1 minute.
implications.
Gracias.
In fact, the things we understood always to be bedrocks of our community, of our nation, are no longer that.
Amicus, a law review, Saturday mornings from 9 to 11.
Wounded Warrior Project has been there for me since that first day in the hospital. They got me out of the house. They got me connected with other veterans, and they helped me face my PTSD. They support me and my family at every turn.
Tim Grierson.
Hello, Todd. How are you?
I am well, and you?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming. We're excited.
Of course. My pleasure.
All right, we are on in about 20 seconds.
Thank you. Pursuing truth wherever it may lead and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. It is Wednesday, April 30th, 2025. 35 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock all across the state of Wisconsin. Glad to have you along on a midday edition. Always fantastic to have along our next guest. He is the senior United States film critic at Screen Daily, also writes for the LA Times and several other publications. Always great to have him on the program. Welcome back, Tim Grierson. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How you doing, Todd?
I am. It's fun to have you here because I enjoy talking film and movies with you. You know the genre. You're in Los Angeles. You know what's going on out there, and you bring knowledge to the broadcast, which is something that I don't do a lot of. So it's great to have you here.
I will do my best to bring a lot of knowledge. But no, I always love talking to you as well, Todd. So yeah, thanks for having me today.
Yeah, you're welcome. We're going to get into a little Nicolas Cage film fest here, but before we do, give us kind of the overall feel right now out in Los Angeles in the industry writ large, I guess, because we had a couple of people on before talking about Los Angeles. I talked to somebody just last week who works in live theater in Los Angeles area, saying that some of the houses maybe not quite as full as they have been due to the economy or people kind of withholding their dollars that they might spend on fun and entertainment, reserving it for things at home. Have we seen the ticket sales at movie theaters go down lately, Tim?
I would say not in the last few weeks, because obviously Sinners has been a real phenomenon, and that's the new film by Ryan Coogler that's been a huge hit and is an original story, which is even more exciting, I think, for Hollywood. It's the vampire film with Michael B. Jordan playing two roles. That one's been a huge hit. The fact that a 20-year-old Star Wars movie, the Phantom the Sith, that final one,
Revenge of the Sith, yeah.
Revenge of the Sith, yeah, that was brought back to theaters for its 20th anniversary and was also very successful this weekend. The fact that Minecraft movie is still doing very well. We're about ready to move into summer movie season this weekend with Thunderbolts, and I think the fact that the box office is already doing really well is a great sign. I think that in general, you still are experiencing the effect of two strikes, the writers and the actors strike. You are facing an economy that's in a bit of flux just in general because of all the Trump tariffs and like that. But I would say that right now, the mood is optimistic because it's been a strong last couple of weekends at the box office. The fact that I think Thunderbolts is going to do pretty decently, the fact that there's a new Mission Impossible coming out later in May. There are some sizable hits that are hopefully going to be coming pretty soon. So we are not past sort of what it was like when COVID really destroyed theaters. We're not back to pre-COVID periods, but we're gaining ground, I would say, and that's encouraging.
No, absolutely. This Minecraft, I haven't seen it. Minecraft isn't really my cup of tea. But the cool thing about it to me is it's brought back a lot of kids and a lot of young people to theaters. And again, I guess I don't want to give things away, but it seems to be the modern day version of like the Rocky Horror Picture Show where people are throwing things and I don't get it, but I'm happy for theater.
Yeah, my feeling is I haven't seen the movie. I haven't had a chance to see it yet either, but I think that sort of audience participation thing has helped fuel that box office phenomenon. And whether it's family audiences or maybe a slightly older audience, for Sinners, that's very, very, that's a net positive. Even if there's certain movies I haven't necessarily loved, if they're doing well at the theater and they're not just Marvel movies and there are other types of films out there, I loved Steven Soderbergh's Black Bag that came out a few weeks ago. Really wish that had done better at the box office. Sadly, that did not. The big question is, will there be enough movies that the adults, the grown-ups, will want to go see? Sinners suggests that that answer is yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen Sinners yet, but I heard it's a really great film from people who have. One of the things that one of the reviews that you wrote here on this new movie called The Surfer, I have not seen it, and we're going to talk a little bit about specifically zero in on Nicolas Cage and the actor that he is. Been around Hollywood a long time, and we just had the Wisconsin Film Festival here at Madison. This film, The Surfer, was part of the Wisconsin Film Festival. I went to a couple other, well, just a bit outside the store of the 1982 Milwaukee Brewers, which I'll put a plug in. It's a great film, available on Roku now, by the way. But that was being shown here on campus. But The Surfer was as well. And to the T, I talked to, not to exaggerate, 6-7 people who did see it. Every one of them said it was one of the best Nicolas Cage films they've ever seen.
Yeah, I was a little less enthused about it.
I read the review.
Yeah, so I saw it because it premiered at Cannes, at the Cannes Film Festival last year, and I saw it right before I left. And Cannes is every May, and I saw it here in Los Angeles before the festival. I would say it's an okay Nicolas Cage movie, and I think, and in general, I am somebody who is always interested in his work, even if his movies are not great. And I think that he's had some good work recently. I thought he was great in the horror film Longlegs that came out last year. I think he's really quite tremendous in that. The Surfer, which I believe opens this weekend in select theaters, it is a kind of Nicolas Cage movie. Just really fast in terms of the plot. He plays an Australian father who is taking his son to kind of a remote beach in Australia that he loved growing up. Some local toughs, there's like a gang that give him a bunch of grief and tell him like, this is
bad boys or something. It seems like a weird.
They're the Bay Boys, and they're the Bay Boys, and they say it's only for locals and beat it essentially, and they really sort of like verbally humiliate the Nicolas Cage character in front of his son, and it's one of a series of things that are going wrong for this father. Over the course of The Surfer, and the movie becomes sort of more and more, I wouldn't say unhinged, that's kind of the right way of describing it, but we get more of a sense of this character's mental fracturing as the film goes on. A movie I'd almost sort of compare it to, even though it's about 35 years old now, is Michael Douglas's Falling Down. It's one of those types of films in which we are watching someone unravel, and it allows Nicolas Cage to do some of his over-the-top Nicolas Cage things. He drinks a puddle of water, if I remember correctly. At one point, he does kind of lose his mind. He starts to sort of not be able to distinguish reality from maybe what he is imagining at certain points. So for people who like Nicolas Cage when he really dials it up, there are some interesting things in it. I think the movie lets him down in certain ways. I think the movie wants to talk about some things. It wants to talk about toxic masculinity. It wants to talk about this idea, especially I think among men, equating material success with happiness. And I think that Nicolas Cage character is suffering from that in the movie. But I don't think it really kind of adds up too much. So for me, it's kind of more of a second or third tier Nicolas Cage.
So was it just the way it was the shot? I mean, what did it cinematography? The cinematography really look great. Why are these people that saw it telling me it was a good movie? Or they're just not smart like a film critic like you? I
wouldn't say smart. I would say that I do see a lot of Nicolas Cage movies, and so I don't know what these folks sort of like how many of his recent movies they've seen, because that could be it. But I also think sometimes at a film festival, it's just fun to see stuff early. And I think we're all susceptible at a film festival just because we're going to see something early that there's a built-in sort of excitement or wanting something to be good. I mean, but also these people might legitimately like it. I have to say that the movie's gone mostly good to mixed reviews. I may be on the lower side of it. So you could maybe talk to a couple other film critics this week who might tell you that they liked it. I just think that it's not. I've seen him do more interesting things recently in movies that I've liked more. I just don't think. I think Nicolas Cage is sort of an interesting figure because I think he makes so many films, and I think it's very easy to take for granted or make assumptions about the type of movies that he makes now. I think a lot of people, and that is not including the people that you talk to at the festival, but I think that there's an assumption now in the culture that Nicolas Cage just makes these crazy movies where he's bug-eyed and he's freaking out and doing all these types of like weird and wacky things. And that's a subgenre of the types of movies that he does. And I suppose The Surfer falls into that category, but I think it's trying to be a little more thoughtful. It's trying to do more than just have him be like wild and crazy. A movie like Longlegs, like I said, that was a big hit last year. He's very, very, very stripped down and very menacing as a result. So much so that he, the Neon, the company that put out Longlegs, really de-emphasized him in the advertising because they did not want people to know that Nicolas Cage was even in it. And Nicolas Cage was behind that decision of kind of surprising people in terms of just how ghoulish and restrained and eerie that he is, because it's not the Nicolas Cage I think that we now associate. I mean, he's done so many great performances, and like you said, this is an actor who's been making movies since the mid 1980s. It's, he has been around for quite some time now. That's what, 40 years of making movies. And there's no one type of Nicolas Cage movie. Some of his performances I just like better than others.
We're talking with Tim Gerson, who is the senior U.S. film critic at Screen Daily, also writes for the Los Angeles Times, Rolling Stone, and others. Always a pleasure to have him on the show. We got a couple of minutes here, I guess 3 minutes before the break here, before we bring it back. But talk just a minute, Tim, about Nicolas Cage, born into kind of an elite film family, got started quickly, and then went through this funk, and now has kind of made this comeback in more recent years. He's an interesting character in and of himself.
Yeah, I mean, this is a person who did not want to use the Coppola name. He's in the Francis Ford Coppola family, for people who don't know. He wanted to change his name so that he didn't have that, either as a benefit or maybe a deterrent. He just wanted to be his own person. And, this is a person who won a Best Actor Oscar in the early 1990s, then transitioned to becoming a huge action star. That career has kind of gone by the wayside, and now does these sort of like quirky indies. He occasionally does something like he did a voice in the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So he also does mainstream movies soon or recently, but he's a guy who just, you kind of can't pin down, and does a lot of different films and a lot of different genres. And I think that's what makes him still so fascinating and still so interesting, because you don't exactly know what you're going to get from a Nicolas Cage movie.
About a minute left here before we have to, we're getting right news to a new clock. I apologize. A minute and a half here before I have to break. Give us one of your top Nicolas Cage movies before we go to break, Tim.
Well, I have to say my number one is his Oscar-winning movie, Leaving Las Vegas, which I still think is just a tremendous movie and a heartbreaking performance. He plays an alcoholic who goes to Las Vegas to essentially drink himself to death. And along the way, he meets the sex worker played by Elizabeth Shue, and they form this like really tender relationship near the end of his life. It is a really beautiful, beautiful performance. It shows the highs that he can do, but also the tenderness that he can bring to a performance.
Incredible. Talking with Nicolas Cage, talking movies, and we're talking with Tim Gerson from Screen Daily and the LA Times. Come back on the other side, talk more with him, and maybe take your phone calls as well. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show for Wednesday on the Civic Media Radio Network. Sorry about that. They started new clocks this week, and I'm still getting used to it. I apologize.
That's no problem.
It's like, oh, we got a minute left, we got 2 minutes left.
keeping you on your mental toes.
Yeah, exactly.
Sanctuary for healing, massage, and spiritual connection to people in
the is there any particular film that you want to make sure we get in here? When we come back, we'll have check here. So we have 7 minutes left when we come back.
Nothing in particular that I have to talk about. I'm really kind of, in terms of his movies, happy to go with if there's callers or texters who want to bring up certain movies or whatever. I made a list of my 5 favorite Nicolas Cage performances, but I'm also happy to just kind of talk about whatever moves you.
All right, sounds great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Back in about a minute.
Okay, cool.
Or 45 seconds.
Herbal Aspect has landed. That's right. Madison's go-to cannabis destination now has a brand new location in Sun Prairie.
Wait, 4 locations? That's a high level of convenience.
With 3 Madison locations and now Sun Prairie, a great cannabis experience is always close by. Our expert staff is here to help, whether you walk in, call, or order online. Mention Radio 420 and get a special discount. So stop by Herbal Aspect in Sun Prairie, because great cannabis isn't just a pipe dream.
Nice. I'm rolling over now.
Herbal Aspect.
Spring is here. Make your lawn the envy of the neighborhood.
Was it call about the movie or something else?
With 15 years
no, it's about something else.
Okay.
Treat your property like their own. 608-209-2185.
He has a story, a political thing that happened in his life, and I was like, yeah, it's not now, but
we'll bring. Zommers was very excited about it because he actually is a. I mean, I'm like I respect him as an actor. I'm not saying like he's one of my. He's not a goat. It's like, oh my god, a Nicolas Cage film, I got to see it. But Zommers, no, he. So we'll bring Zommers in for a minute because he was very excited about this topic.
Happy to talk. Yeah.
The Milwaukee Film Festival is jam-packed. Head to our website, WMDXradio.com, for details.
I'm Dan Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. On April 22nd in the Wisconsin State Senate, something happened that you don't...
Real fast, remind me how far you guys are from Milwaukee.
It takes about a little over hour and 10, hour and 15 minutes. So I know the Milwaukee Film Festival is this weekend, I think.
I just heard that, yeah.
Yeah, so Pete Schwaba, who does our evening show, Nightlight, it's more of an entertainment show. I should link you guys up. It'd be... he's a great guy. So
sure, yeah, I'd love to.
He's doing a whole thing. I think. Is he in Milwaukee this weekend, Zommers?
I can't imagine he wouldn't be, honestly.
Yeah, because he was on our show last week talking about the Madison Film or Wisconsin Film Festival,
which is in Madison. Yeah. About 25 seconds.
All right, thank you. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. It is 8 before the hour of 4 o'clock. On the top of the hour, ABC or CBS News, depending upon which of our great stations across Wisconsin you're listening to. Quick weather update. Some rain tonight into tomorrow, and then, holy cow, like a whole straight week of sun and 70 degrees next week. I cannot wait. And then sports update with a great sports reporter, Mike Clemens, Maggie Dawn in after that, followed by Pete Schwaba and Nightlight every evening from 6 until 8 to round out the day's shows. Right now, talking with Tim Grierson. He is the senior U.S. film critic at Screen Daily, also writes a lot for the Los Angeles Times, Rolling Stone, among others. Always happy to have him along, focusing in on the actor Nicolas Cage and some of his top shows. I have to tell you, Tim, first of all, thanks again for being here. Zommers very excited because, I mean, I respect the actor, but Zommers, you know these movies by heart. You've seen a lot.
Well, I haven't seen all of his movies.
But
I've seen several.
Give us one of your favorite.
I think to your point that you mentioned earlier about the range that he has and how not every movie has to be zany like Face Off and Mandy. While I love those, I love his performances in those. I think something like Pig is also a lot of fun to watch, just to see a much more nuanced and subtle emotional performance of somebody going through the grief of, reliving past trauma and losing. I guess I'll say someone. It's a pig, but someone very close to him.
Right. Yeah, Jim? And I would also say on that, in terms of like indies that he's done somewhat recently that I also liked. His film Joe, I think, is really good and very, very underseen. It's a David Gordon Green film. Who's probably still best known for Pineapple Express, but has also done a ton of lower budget indies. That film Joe, I think, is quite good. You know, and I also I love something like Adaptation, which is, you know, playing Charlie Kaufman and Charlie Kaufman's brother at the same time. Those are really fun performances, but also very emotional performances. And then in a romantic comedy vein, something like Moonstruck, which I think a lot of people now kind of forget about, because obviously Cher won Best Actress for that pretty deservingly, I would say. But, you know, her love interest in that movie is Nicolas Cage, and that was relatively early in his career. That's really good. Wild at Heart, his film he did with the late great David Lynch, is really quite something. I would also say, in terms of underrated Nicolas Cage performances, he's really tremendous in Martin Scorsese's Bringing Out the Dead, which I think was very much overlooked in the late 1990s. It was sort of written off as a sort of taxi driver ripoff, but I think it's actually a really, really great film and a great Nicolas Cage performance as a guy who works as an EMT and works like the night shifts. And it's, you know, to use The Surfer as an example of, well, what's a better version of one of like a Nicolas Cage character unraveling? I would say Bringing Out the Dead is a really, really tremendous movie. Even I think big Scorsese fans aren't necessarily big fans of that movie. But I think it's a real gem. I think it's really, really great.
Okay, great recommendation. Casper, listening on WMDX here in Madison, Raising Arizona, he says.
I mean, Raising Arizona is an all-time favorite. I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt if there was more. Yeah. No, I love Raising Arizona. Again, early in his career, basically playing a live-action, like, Looney Tune character in certain ways. And, of course, other people in that Coen Brothers movie are even more, like, animated, like Tasmanian devil-like characters. What he does in that movie is he plays a dumb guy, which is sort of a Coen Brothers specialty. But he does it so well and so genuinely. It's actually hard to play somebody who is dumb, because I think it's very easy to just be like, oh, I'll just be like stupid or silly. But to actually have a through line as a guy who's not very bright, who thinks he's brighter than he is very hard to pull off. And Nicolas Cage is tremendous. So yeah, that person is absolutely correct. Raising Arizona is one of his all-time best films.
Heather, watching on Facebook from Eau Claire, WCFW, up there, beautiful Eau Claire, says Matchstick Men is one of my favorites.
Yeah, Ridley Scott movie, and the only movie he's done with Ridley Scott, I believe. Oh, really? And it's sort of like, it's a con artist movie that has like a lot of heart to it. It was and I think that movie is also a bit underrated, both for him and for Ridley Scott, because that was a kind of like post Gladiator era, if I remember correctly. But it's quite good as well. Yeah.
I think what you said earlier about having an actor that can get into not just play a character, but understand the thinking of that character. I have so much respect for it, because it never done it, but I mean, I have to imagine as a viewer, you can, I don't know, not always, but it's the actors who can really get into that character emotionally and into them, what they're thinking inside, and create that character, then pull that off. I have so much respect for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, you know, he is an actor who, you know, if nothing else, invests himself fully into things that he does. And, you know, sometimes he goes to crazy extremes that don't always work because of that. But he is someone who, he cares a lot about performances. That is not an automatic, like, that makes you a great actor, because I think a lot of actors care about what they're doing, but the level of care and the level of craft and the level of thinking, it's worth pointing out that as extreme as he gets, and I'm also a big Face Off fan. I mean, Face Off is something where he's playing one person, but essentially playing two people in the same movie. He's essentially playing John Travolta for half of that movie. And the thought that goes into how to play that might seem just sort of extreme or funny on screen, but there's actually a lot of thought that goes into that. So in some ways, he's underrated in terms of the craft that he brings to his work.
Matt Richland, Center listening to WRCE, says The Rock is a wonderful piece of trash. I love it. Okay,
It's quite good. It's his best pure action movie outside of Face Off. I agree.
Tim Gerson, always fantastic. You can find Tim's work at Screen Daily and Los Angeles Times, amongst others. Thanks for taking the time today. We really appreciate it, Tim.
It's my pleasure. Have a great day, guys.
You as well. Also, thanks to Pat Kreitlow for being on earlier, and to all of you for listening. Whatever you're fighting for, whatever you believe in, do not give up. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Thank you, Tim. Really appreciate you. Great job as always.
Oh, I really appreciate it. Have a great